Fierce and Fire Ones? It's your girls, Erica and Bianelli. So, if you enjoy saucy conversations, hot topics from religion, sex to politics, and just some good old girl advice, then this is the podcast for you. We air every Wednesday throughout the month. So come on, sit back, get your wine, get your tea, and let's have some Fierce and Fire conversation. Enjoy the podcast.
Welcome, our Fierce and Fire Ones. We're so happy you're here today. This is episode 9, the season of love. Marriage. It awaken your senses and visions of a sweet young couple standing side by side, loving each other while dreaming of being surrounded by many children until their dying days. Traditionally, per the Bible, marriage was defined by a state instituted and obtained by God for the lifelong relationship between one man as a husband and one woman as a wife.
The concept of a love marriage is around 120 years old.
It is a new concept. You know that throughout history, monogamy took centuries to catch on. It is definitely a Western invention. Before, people did not marry for love or even to have babies. It was not the goal. They married for many different reasons.
Lots of people got married to make alliances for political gains, expand their families, and because they were lonely. There were times where parents needed to marry a daughter off because they needed to get a goat or some type of livestock. So this was not just an idea of love, but was out of necessity. In Mesopotamia in 400 AD, they compared marriage to slavery. Many church officials actually opposed marriage, describing it as bondage.
Obviously not the bondage that we might like.
I mean, hey. In 1971, Ruth Gator Ginsburg fought for women's rights within a marriage, which led to the abolishment of existing law that during the dispute, males must be preferred to females. So an example of this would be women coming to the marriage with wealth, thing that was bequeathed to her. So essentially, when the divorce would occur, she would lose that inheritance or to have full custody of children in the event of a divorce. Did you know that headmaster laws weren't abolished until 1979 and that a husband could do whatever he wanted to his house, his family, his wife, and her possession?
Let's take it back to biblical times. You know polygamy was not illegal then, right? It was a man's right to have multiple wives and mistresses. Why not? Abraham, you could have 2 wives. He had a concubine. Caleb had 5 wives. Moses had 2. King Solomon, you know how many he had? Do you want to know how many he had?
Yeah, I want to know how many Solomon had.
Do you really want to know?
I really want to know.
Over 1K. 1K.
What? How do you have time for that many women?
I don't know. How can you really function properly down there with all those women? Not in a negative light, but we're just a lot in the sense of energy, our vibes, and what we crave. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to put us in a negative light. It's just that, how?
I think to have a good functioning relationship, or just to take it to what we're talking about, marriage, you have to have a good emotional connection. And how can you have a solid emotional vulnerability and a connection with that many women? I just don't think it's possible.
I agree with you.
I need someone to get back to us and let us know if it's possible to love 1,000 women at one time.
That's definitely not possible.
I don't know.
And if you were no longer useful and youthful as well, you were tossed to the side as you not having any meaning whatsoever.
You know, I think that's interesting in what you're saying about being tossed to the side, because society kind of does that with women in general. At some point, especially when we hit 30, we start to, like, even in our 20s, when we hit about like 25, we start getting those questions from our family, like, when are you getting married? When are you going to settle down? When are you going to find a husband? All those things, depending how you see your life. Obviously, we were talking about marriage and relationship. It's important, I think, that we start to tell women earlier that they become less valuable, biologically speaking. What happens, or odds of a woman getting pregnant and being fertile as they continue to age. It's just not surprising to me that our value kind of tossed to the wayside with the association, not just with youth, but also with fertility. It's like almost linear.
Youth is attached to childbearing years.
Yeah.
Youth is attached to fertility, unfortunately. The issue is our biologic clock for women is very different compared to men. Man can be out here in these streets.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk that way right now. They can't be in these streets, literally get 5 ladies pregnant the same day. This woman is going to carry this child for 9 months while he could still be in these streets impregnating other women.
Yeah. The power.
Now we need to talk about this emperor, Justinian. You know that he suggested that it may not be right to beat your wife, but if there's a reason to do it, you would just have to pay her afterwards. Like, boom, 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 Erica, shoot up.
Nah, player.
He's $20, Erica. Take my $20.
Nah.
You know, this is the same guy that in 500 AD passed a law that allowed fathers to give away their daughters as young as 7 years old.
You're getting upset in my feelings about this emperor, giving advice to men, paying their wives for essentially beating them. Here in the U.S. in the 1800s, in South Carolina, it was the first state to disallow the beating of wives. In 1920, it was outlawed nationwide. To believe that this is something that was just recently outlawed in modern times is just mind-boggling to me.
So we just wanted to give you just a little brief history just on marriage. You can definitely search out there, Google. YouTube. There's so many videos that actually Erica and I watched, pretty funny ones, very informative as well, just to learn about the concept of marriage in other parts of the world as well as here, how culture plays out, which we're actually going to talk about that much later on as well. But in reference to this whole concept of monogamy and being one person, as we briefly mentioned before, it all just started. It's a new thing, not that long ago, definitely less than 150 years old.
The concept, as we discussed earlier about love marriage, it's a fairly new concept, and everyone wants to find someone. If we can look in our own pop culture to see shows like The Bachelor, to Love at First Sight, and our personal favorite, Love is Blind.
Yeah.
All these shows about finding the one, marrying for love. We hope that in this series, in our season of love, that we can get down to the nitty-gritty. Is marriage for you? Are you down with the marriage? Are you down with the partnership? And that's cool. Me personally, I'm a girl who's down with the marriage. But we'll be continuing our conversation and hopefully getting in some really in-depth conversations that you can take to your girlfriends or to, your boo. And maybe it can have you guys talking in depth about where you see yourselves going.
And to add to that, what Erica stated, talk to your boo. Don't worry, we have some spicy tips in the future for you and your boo, so we're excited for that.
Yes, we're very excited.
Thank you so much, our Fierce and Fire ones, to tuning in today. We are so excited that you tune in on every Wednesday. But remember, you can still connect with us at our Instagram page at Fierce and Fire Podcast. You can listen to every episode at Libsyn, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Stitcher. As you see, we are everywhere. Thank you so much, and please connect with us because we want to hear from you.